What's going on YouTube? Hey guys, it's Ben Nader. I hope you checked out my video yesterday where I did a day in the life of a solopreneur recruiter, and essentially a lot of you seem to have liked it. I got a ton of comments, ton of views, and so I really appreciated that. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, we talk about recruiting, entrepreneurship, business, pretty much everything in between. And if you like those kind of topics, I vlog every single day, and so definitely hit the subscribe button down below. Let's jump right into today, and I want to tell you guys how I was able to disrupt the recruiting industry and how you can do the same exact thing. So let's talk about disruption, right? You probably heard of this buzz term all over the place. There's disruption going on in the markets everywhere, pretty much mostly in technology, but all over the place in general. So disruption basically means, that a large change happens in a market, okay? So markets typically go on and just fluctuate on a regular pattern as they go, right? So the car industry, for instance, right? Or, the grocery industry, right? But often there's disruption, and when there's disruption, it usually means someone came out with something super cool, changed something really cool, and made a boatload of money while they did it. So car industry, that would be Tesla, right? Blockbuster, like that went away and all you do is Netflix now, right? So let's talk about more about how you can do that in recruiting and how I actually did that when I started my recruiting agency from my perspective, disrupting that industry. Basically, the first thing I did was an analysis. So just taking a look at the market as a whole and the industry as a whole, looking at staffing, looking at recruiting, what people are charging, basically what their fees are, what niches are, what markets they're targeting, just all that type of thing. And identifying that data and then just kind of digesting that and taking it in for a while. After I did that, I decided that I could definitely do this thing better. I could come up with a better mousetrap, as Kevin O'Leary likes to say on Shark Tank, right? So I could do things, more attractively to customers, more efficiently, and probably the most important piece, cheaper for customers. And I just did the math on all that and figured that I could totally blow that out of the water. And that's what I did. So that's what I put into practice. So let me tell you the 3 specific ways that I actually disrupted the recruiting industry in my own beliefs. So the first thing that I did was on fees, okay? So typically in the recruiting industry, people are charging 25%, 30%, 33%, and plus to make a placement, whether that's in technology or sales or I don't even know, just mid-level management or whatever it might be, right? And what I did was I decided that that's just way too high for a client to pay. It's just an absurd amount of money for them to pay $30,000 or $25,000 for you to place someone and find someone on LinkedIn for them simply because they either didn't know how to or didn't have the time to do it, right? So I figured, why not go in with 10%? And the reason I came up with 10% is because nobody else was doing it. So 10% was the absolute bottom of the barrel, right? Nobody was doing 10%. So you might see 15, people did under 20, but no one was doing 10%. And so it was an absolute complete disruptor, okay? So the first thing I basically did is set up a structure where I would charge 10% per placement, give them a 30-day guarantee on the candidate, and then, if they didn't work out after, within 30 days, I would find them a new candidate, right? So replacement. So 10% charge though, and it was huge. It was wildfire. People loved it. So when I was sending out all my cold emails at the beginning of the start of my business, when I would do, 100 emails a day or 100 touches a day, and I still do close to that, but basically everyone was super excited. Everyone that did respond, I didn't get 100% response rate, right? But everyone that did respond was super interested, and they were already sold off the bat simply because I was offering them 10% when they were dealing with a ton of agencies that were charging them 20%, 22, 25%. Just for a placement, right? The same exact placement that I would make. And these are the bigger companies. These are the Aerotechs. These are Robert Half, whomever, right? So 10% fee, super big disruptor. The second thing was market targeting, okay? So this is really, really interesting and unique, right? So what I went after were things that other people were not going after. Again, yet setting yourself apart, road less traveled, right? So warehouses, production facilities, transportation, drivers, manufacturing, stuff like that. things that people were not focused on, okay? And that underserved market needed staffing desperately. And when you coupled that with 10% fees, it was like shooting fish in a barrel. So when I would, go down the list and I would just mark up in my system manufacturing companies or production or admin, like what positions are open for these, and I would contact the companies paired with my 10% fee and pairing it with targeting that type of company. It was literally a match and a sell every single time. Like it was a deal made in heaven, like right away. So that was super, super disruptive. So catching the low-hanging fruit, going for these general labor companies that nobody pays attention to. Everyone's trying to staff for Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, Zillow. Like no one's trying to staff for Joe's manufacturing shop that actually does $50 million in revenue a year and has 100 employees, and they're constantly hiring because they either have turnover or they're growing and they need more people. Or, Nancy's production facility that makes aerospace parts, right? And they are also growing because Boeing has a contract with them and they need tons of new employees, right? And there's turnover, whatever. And they love 10%, so they went with it. You want to know how I made $100,000 in the first 6 months of my business? It's because I charged 10% and I targeted these particular markets. So if you put those two together, that's how I did that. The third way that I believe I disrupted the entire industry, from my perspective again, is customer service. Simply how I operated and how I worked with customers and clients was totally disruptive, right? So if you look at the Aerotechs or the Robert Halfs or all of the tech systems, the bigger companies that, treat everything as, it's quantity over quality, that sort of type of thing. Like, I treated clients as if they were my lifeblood, because they were. Like, I really wanted to get a deal with these clients and I wanted to continue doing business with these clients. And so I treated them like family. Like, I treated a client like I would do anything for them, and I performed perfectly for them. Like, I got them the right people that they wanted. I listened to them. Like, I built relationships with these people. Like, I do repeat business with clients that I obtained from the first days of my recruiting agency, still today, because of the way I treated the people. So, the three elements of disruption that I used were the fee, 10%, treating the customers the way I treated them, and then also, of course, targeting the certain markets that I targeted. And I think you do the exact same thing. I don't care where you are in the country, you can apply these same tactics and techniques to disrupt the market, change everything, and make a boatload of money. And the key is, so many people are not seeing this vision. They're just looking at the trees, they're not looking at the forest. So, coming into staffing and being brand new, or looking at recruiting as, hey, I'm a new recruiter, or I've been a recruiter and I'm going solo now, putting these things into your mind, right? You're going to look at things differently. And hopefully you see them through my eyes the way that I saw them, and you make $100,000 right away in the first 6 months and scale up from there. But the deal is, you have to understand, how to disrupt the market. Just do something different, do something better, do it more efficiently, do it faster than the next guy next to you. Like, just make it better than somebody else. Disrupt it somehow, and you'll win the business every single time. And that's how I grew, that's how I scaled, and that's how I disrupted the market. So that's my tidbit today, guys, for Wednesday. I will definitely catch you again on Thursday with another video. Thinking about doing something again, like a day in the life, but maybe a little bit different. So comment down in the comment section if you like that video, or if you wanted me to do something specific. Definitely smash the like button for sure, and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. So I will catch you guys on Thursday. Have a good night. Take care.